I'm live. Welcome, YouTubers. If you're watching this as a rerun, you can skip ahead about 17, 18 minutes. If you're watching this as a live broadcast, well, I'm just getting on here early to make sure all the audio is coming through and all the good stuff here on the YouTube channel. Good to have you along. Good morning, Waylon. Morning, my friend. Are you going to the Mule Deer Banquet in a couple weeks? Or is it next? That's next week already. Next week. Next Saturday. Yeah. Morning, Dave. Good morning. Good to have you on the Minnesota side. Appreciate some of the articles about the wolves in Colorado. I saw that. I got that sent to me by about 3 or 4 people. Interesting. Just dandy. You getting audio there, Waylon? Dave? Karen? Good morning. What time I get done with the boat show at the event? They got boat show at the same time. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Everything's at the same town. Thanks. Sounds scratchy. Really? Interesting. I don't know why that would be. Is everything on my end here in my ears? Everything that I'm hearing back sounds clear. Scratchy on your end. Are you on Mid-Continent Cable or what? You on Midco? Yeah. Anyway, it's going to have to do. My internet speed right now is 500 by 500, so it looks like my end is up to snuff on my speed. 499 by 480, so pretty darn close. Oh, is your phone? Okay. Well, it's the last day of the stock show, so as you can see, I'm in my mobile studio. Yep. Bull sale yesterday went really well. I got to sit and talk with Dan and Don Miller for a while, and Lance Rosso. Got to see those guys, BS with Dan and Don for a little while. What else? That's about it. Don't get to see a whole lot of people from the whole country. Let's make sure this stuff is ready to go. Shall we? That's ready to go. Although I could turn it up just a dab, I think. Well, what else is going on, YouTubers? Got a couple minutes before I call little Wayno up. Talk about the banquet next Saturday. And all the good stuff coming up around there. What else? I might as well give them a call. Make sure we're hooked up clear. Sometimes that proceeds to be an issue. Where are you, Wayne? There you are. There you are. Good morning, America. Damn right.
Hey, good morning, Scott.
Wayne Booth.
How's everything there?
Oh, it is. They got some more. They got a lot more snow by the Newell area than a lot of other people. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, is it from Newell south? Is that where they got more snow? Is that
it? Sure looked like it last night coming in. It was so damn foggy. I drove in fog all the way from Morristown, South Dakota to just south of Newell by once you got to right on the other side of Bear Butte. Then it was perfectly clear. So once you got
there's a little fog up here this morning looking at the town, and so that moisture in the air, that warmness you get, a little melting, and I suppose whatever it takes, you get a little fog, and they say something about moisture so many days down the road from fog. Is that it?
It's like 30, 60, or 90 days. I can't remember which one it was. Some people say 30, some say 90.
Oh,
and
sure.
I'm not quite possibly sure which one is which. So all I know is if that's true, no matter what happens, it's going to be in the depths of my calving situation again. So I hope it comes in form of rain.
Yeah, perfect timing for calving is when the moisture comes.
Oh boy, it shows that February is supposed to be kind of a brutal son of a gun here coming up.
Oh. Well, we've been pretty fortunate so far, I guess. So it's going to be short if it is heavier snow in winter. So
yeah. Scott Bulgy says it was. He was always told 90 days.
90 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I've never, I've always thought about that, but I've never kept track. Should make a note, I guess.
Some people have. My folks lived and died by the 90-day rule, and then I saw some people that do the 30-day rule. And I've never kept track of it either. Old Farmer's Almanac type of situation there.
Yeah. Farmer's Almanac, I've never been a big proponent of it, I guess, because it seems like, I don't know, it's such a hit and miss. Weather is, I could predict it. I could predict it and write an almanac probably too and be just as accurate, at times.
Well, I tell you what, they can always get right is the wind.
Yeah.
It was a windy son of a gun yesterday, man. That was a bitter one. Yeah. Fog and wind.
Yeah, I get that wet, damp moisture running through the air.
Yeah. You guys all set up, ready for the banquet next Saturday?
Yeah, we're getting pretty close. We've got a meeting this coming week, kind of put everything together, knowing how many guns we've got. And, the thing about it is, even though we have a number of guns that we're going to have there, we still have those boards that we use.
Yep.
So people can then choose what they want when they do win a gun. So that's kind of nice too. So
yeah, they got to wait a little bit, but that's all right. They can pick what they want.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, what else I got next week here? Got a few things going on, I think. Got to redo a well. Well, got to redo a well in our pasture.
Is that on Forest Service?
No, it's private. So
private. Those Forest Service wells, if they take care of them for you, we had a quote. My God, it was 17 to 30,000. They wanted to put a well there and refix a well. It was like, you got to be kidding me.
That's cheap.
Yeah. Yours are more expensive down there.
Well, right now, if you want to put a well in and drill a brand new well, because our neighbors did, and it was on Forest Service ground, and it cost them when it was done about $250,000.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Now the wells I was talking about are on Forest Service land that they will, they come out and they get the springs and they put up the well there and they box it up and all that.
Spring tank. I see what you're saying.
Spring tanks, yeah. But even for those, they charge so much for them. They've actually put some that had solar panels for pumps there or something that they're.
Ours works okay in the summertime. You got to have a lot of water in order to fill that tank up. We got to have. We have a semi tanker sitting next to it, so we have to be required to maintain X amount of gallons for so many days on hand just in case something happens, and
right.
And I think it just looks like a damn eyesore when you have a big tanker sitting out in the pasture, but
yeah, exactly.
But what do you do? Good water is important to have.
Yep,
sure
exactly.
Makes life a lot easier, but the solar in the wintertime, not going to happen.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Just don't work.
Yeah, we went out there to it and it was bone dry.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, and they're expensive. You get the solar panels are cheap. Putting up pipe and everything to mount them to is cheap.
Mm-hmm.
It's the electronics that is super expensive. That's getting the little electronic and dropping that pump down, because we have ours in an old artesian, and that artesian just doesn't have enough push anymore.
Sure.
And we dropped it down 100 feet, and holy moly, that the pump and the electronics on the box alone were like almost 40,000.
Goodness.
Solar panels were like $100 a piece, and we put 4 of those up. We went way more solar panels. They said, well, you need 2, so we went with 4.
Yeah.
And that does help. There's no doubt. But you gotta get out there and squeegee them off and clean them up every couple of weeks. And
yeah, that's for sure.
Gene Cox, Mark Twain tells us whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting over.
That's about right.
And it's still to this day true. It really is.
Yeah. You get the private landowner that runs cattle on Forest Service land, grasslands, and you fight over, what people are doing there and what the Forest Service wants to do and wants to charge you for if you don't do it right. And it's
and then the Forest Service,
that's one piece.
Like, what we did, they said, well, you got to go over the scoria hill. They said, you can't trench through a scoria hill. You're going to tear your pipe up trying to lay it in there, and it's just going to collapse. Well, that's where we want you to go. And then we try, and it all collapsed in, so we brought them back out, and they're like, oh, well, that doesn't work. We're like, so now the whole project was supposed to be done last fall, and now it's still sitting in scoria rock waiting for their approval to move it. So station's 7 o'clock right on top of the nose, 700. Coming up here on Mark. So that's
settled in here.
The joys of trying to work with NEPA studies and all that, and it seems like they're it changes, depending on the administration, what their focus is, and their focus this year or the last 4 years has been recreation in the western side of the state. They're trying to propose some campgrounds and trails and put more money into the Maatahay and all that kind of stuff for our projects for actual betterment of the land is, I don't know, kind of seems like falling by the wayside.
Right. And it reflects in the value of the land too. If you think about this, if you have land that has Badlands breaks in it, something similar to what you guys have, if you try to buy more land like that, the people who are selling it are probably going to sell it for recreational value of a exponentially higher value than it's worth.
Absolutely.
Running cattle on it. It's like, and how can you make a living off it? You can't unless you get it at a cheap value.
How can you bring kids back in your family and expand the operations where 2, maybe 3 families when you're paying an ungodly amount of money for land that some city slicker out there somewhere is buying just as an investment?
Right.
It's pretty tough. It's going to be a whole different world in Western North Dakota in about 10 years.
Yeah,
either you're going to see gigantic farm and ranchers, or you're going to see a lot of land just absentee owned.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So if you want, we can touch base on the Colorado Wolves and update on those, since we talked about those in December, I think it was.
I got that on my list.
Yeah, got it.
I got wolves. I got some people that had questions about how to score deer in the field, and I got shed hunting and some states that make it illegal certain times and all that. So
yeah, sounds good. So you were on Jamie's show a couple weeks ago, was it?
Yeah, probably about that. His new 701 Nation thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I caught parts of it, but I couldn't see the whole thing. I'll have to go back and maybe watch it, see what you guys had to say. You were talking about 223s.
Yep.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, the 223 is at America's Rifle is what he was going after.
That's right. That's right. I did see a fair amount of it. Yeah. So here's a story about the 223 if we have time. Real quick. A friend of mine I bow hunt with, 2 guys I bow hunt with. One of them Well, they both live in Montana. One of them drew a moose tag, and they don't hunt with a rifle very much at all. They just bow hunt primarily. So they get up in the northwest part of Montana, and they're together and they're hunting. They just had like one day left. So he sneaks through these trees, see this bull moose on the other side, and he shoots once. And my buddy Mark, he goes, "Gosh, that sounded funny." And he shot again, and he goes, and the bull ran through the brush. And my other friend, he turns to Mark and he said, "Yeah, I got good news. I got bad news." He said, "What's that?" He said, "Good news. I hit him twice." He said, "Bad news. I'm out of ammo." And Mark goes, "Well, hey, I've got some ammo in my truck." He says, "What are you shooting?" He said, "I'm shooting a 223." And he goes, "You got to be kidding me." So they backed out a little bit. And they kind of followed the trail. Sure enough, this bull moose was laying dead, nose in the air, up above the grass, and he'd shot it twice with a 223. So
What the heck?
America's rifle, maybe, I don't know.
All right, here a couple minutes. Todd, how's that sound? Does that sound a little bit better once I get into the mic here a little bit like this? Does that sound? How's that a little bit better? Thank you. Okay, appreciate it. You bet. That's the kind of things I need to know, man. What I hear from my side isn't necessarily what's feeding through the old interweb here. Sorry about that, Wayne. I got a couple messages taken care of here. Got to take care of the radio ops, Remember, you're on FM too. That's right. I forgot about 99.7. Is that right, Todd? 99.7 FM?
We could tell Waylon, yes, there are adult meal packages still available. If people want to, we'll talk about that too. If people want to purchase those, go online, or I'll give them Jason's number and he can help them out too. So
cool. All righty. Well, let's see. 30 seconds here. We're going to go quiet here. So stand by. Okay. I'm going to turn you down here. Turn me off here. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of Dakota Prairie Outdoors. I'm Scott Bachmeyer, your host here for nearly 2 decades strong on all the radio stations across the Dakota Territory. Such stations like KGFX in Pierre, Fort Pierre. We're also on KOLY in Mobridge, South Dakota. K-Fire 550 and 99.7 AM FM in Bismarck, Mandan. KCJB in Minot and KLTC Dickinson. Good to have you along there and around the world on my live streaming through YouTube channel, Dakota Prairie Outdoors Radio. Good to have you along here today. A lot of things going on. Next week is the Mule Deer Banquet in Mandan. Mr. Wayne Muth, outdoor writer, outdoor enthusiast. What else here can we say? Pope and Young official score. And can we give you some more titles here, Wayne, or what?
Actually, the Pope and Young, they kind of title us as ambassadors, hunting ambassadors.
Oh, you're a hunting ambassador. That's right.
That's probably the easiest, right? I think we all are. We're all hunting ambassadors, aren't we? We try to promote hunting and get that going, right?
Well, I like to promote it, and some people say, well, yeah, but that means you got to let people hunt on your property. Not necessarily, because some people, the way they hunt, and some others, it might change their style, right? I mean, not everybody hunts the same way.
Right. And promoting hunting doesn't mean you have to promote elk and mule deer and whitetail hunting. I mean, the waterfowl, upland game, getting out there, predators, getting out there trapping, all of it's together. We have to play as a team and make sure that we're promoting it for the good of all.
Absolutely. Work together. Strength in numbers that way. Now, coming up next Saturday in Mandan, you have the Mule Deer Banquet. Tell us a
Yep.
little bit about this. First off, Waylon wants to know if you still got tickets available here.
Yeah, we do. We have some. There's some packages. Adult packages are $70. That includes the membership. There's a couples package for $105. You can check out. You can go online and buy tickets at the muledeer.org, and then look up the event for Bismarck. And so it's coming up next Saturday. It's gates open or doors open at 5. There's a social. There's a no host social. We've got raffles in the silent auction. That we have Mr. Scott Bachmeyer there for our auctioneer and crew. It's awesome to have you there again. You do such a good job for us. Really appreciate that. And we have different auctions. We have live auctions, silent auctions. We've got just general raffles that we do. We do different ticket raffles that will have a board where if you win, you get to pick the gun you want. We have many different items that you can choose from to enter in raffles, including mounts. We have deer mounts such as Jake Vandrick. He's going to have a couple displayed heads, and another taxidermist is also going to have some displayed heads, and both of them are donating full shoulder mounts. And I think Waylon Turnus got one last year, and
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully he had a chance to use it. If not, hopefully he will this year. But yeah, there's lots going on. It's a good social event. It goes for a good cause, and it's just a fun time.
No, it's a blast. Now, if you go to muledeer.org, you can also see upcoming events in South Dakota as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, they do quite a few events here. I'm actually broadcasting here from the hills today because it's the last day of the Black Hills Stock Show, Wayne, and I can't miss the stock show. We got rodeo tickets for tonight and everything. And what's kind of cool is when you go around and you go through the Civic Center there. I still call it that. I don't know if they still call it that. I think it's Monument Center or whatever. Somebody else bought it and added on to it. So, of course, they're going to name it after that person, right? But when you go through, not only do you see a lot of these, it's agricultural based, and there's no doubt about it. But it's interesting when you see how a lot of these agricultural based work with the conservation side. And you and I were talking about water projects before we started on the radio side. And I tell you what, water is one of those things where if you have good water source, it's not only good for the cattle, it's good for the wildlife too.
Yes, it is. There's a lot of places in the west and southwest that Game and Fish Department will actually put up water tanks because there's not a lot of water in some of those areas. So we're fortunate to have that here and have good water supplies, especially for our livestock and wildlife.
So that's what I'm trying to hint you into saying. Maybe you need to have like a fiberglass tank or an automatic water, maybe a thermal sink on the live auction, or a game to play at the old banquet next Saturday.
Oh, I think that'd be something. Sure.
Well, there's got to be some other farmer ranchers that are coming into that besides just me.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of farm and ranchers that come there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's always good to see that. It's always fun to win guns. Guns are one of the things. I don't know if many states, the urban states do it anymore, but around this area, around the Dakota Territory, we still do gun raffles, and it just seems like that's where it's the easiest way to make a lot of money for some of these places.
Yeah, it really is, and we've got some good guns too. Some different calibers. We sat down as a group and said, okay, what kind of calibers would people like that they maybe don't have? And you and I have talked about this before.
How do you choose that, Wayne? I mean, how do you figure some of this out?
Well, we kind of get some trends from other banquets and Gunapaloozas that are really are the really popular ones that people will spend an extra few dollars in raffle tickets as well.
Yeah.
So there's like the 6.8 Western is one of them. The 7mm 08. Going to have one of each of those. 6.5 PRC. We've got a 4570. It's a Marlin Trapper. That's the lever action one.
Yeah.
Really nice stuff, and multiple ones of pistols, 9 and 10 millimeters, and some 308s, 300 Winchester mags. All those calibers that are popular, but yet some of them that are maybe not as easy to find, and people would like to get a hold of them. So. But and for some of our firearms, we've got some great sponsors too for that. Like First International Bank, the underwriting for that, and BNC Bank in Mandan, they underwrite firearms for us and help us out. They're in there to help promote because their customers are the West a lot of times.
Yeah.
You know, First International, they're based out in the Watford City.
Yeah.
So,
it's interesting. And of all the events I help out with throughout the years, whether it's emceeing or helping an auction now and do that, it seems to me like the banks in your local area, there's only one franchise that only ever turned me down, but every single other bank where, even though we did it here in Deadwood, South Dakota, we had a couple banquets down here all the way through over to Pierre and up through Jamestown and around up to Minot and down and even Williston. The banks usually always came out right away and said, absolutely, we're going to support you. And
yeah,
you're still seeing that to this day. Like Dakota
yeah,
Community Bank and Trust. I mean, it seems like they sponsor almost everything.
yeah. They're so good, especially in the rodeo community as well, and ranch community. You know, they're out there in the front lines. I mean, Dale Pulkey, we have the Dale Pulkey Arena right here in town,
Yep.
and he's instrumental in putting that together and helping us out for that. And having a great rodeo arena, that's for sure.
Well, definitely. So the banquet starts next Saturday at the Baymont. I always say Seven Seas. I always say that.
Yeah,
Baymont.
yeah, me too.
Yeah, right on the exit of Mandan and the interstate up there. And it starts at what time?
It starts at doors open at 5, dinner at 6:30. You know, and there's packages if a person has 8 people that you want to bring. There's a gold package that there's memberships, and you get a choice of a gun off of that. There's let's see, also the silver package. There's sponsorship packages. There's lifetime packages. So yeah, you could go online, look at what you can find, what'll suit you, and if you don't have a bunch of people come as an individual and just have fun.
Well, we'll be back with more of that coming up next.
Okay.
For over 80 years, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been a leader in ag financing because we understand the business of creating relationships is more than an interest rate. Agriculture is a foundation to the community, and we are here to help your operation expand, grow, and continue to the next generation. Talk to our ag lending team today.
Community looking out for you. At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
Equal housing lender. Hello, producers. This is Travis for Smith Saddle Butte Ranch. I wanted to invite everyone to our President's Day bull sale on Monday, February 19th. We will be selling 50 bulls, none of which have been fed corn or creep a day of their life, just cows, milk, and grass. We don't need or want to mislead anyone about their true growth. Call me, Travis, at 605-641-5288 or check us out on Facebook. That's the Smith Saddle Butte Ranch Bull Sale, Monday, February 19th at 1 p.m. at Bowman Livestock Marketing in Bowman, North Dakota.
Piper's Auction and Realty would like to invite you to their next sale coming up on Tuesday, February 6th. 459 acres for sale in Eddy County. Also on the 6th, 1,063 acres also in Eddy County. On Wednesday, February 7th, 320 acres in Kidder County and also 566 acres in Stutzman County. Plus, we have the Upper Midwest timed online equipment auction coming up on February 14th. For more information and to bid with confidence, go to pipers.com today. Cattle producers, the Wassa Red Angus annual production sale is Thursday, February 15th, 2 p.m. Mountain Time at the Wicks Barn south of Richardson, North Dakota. Selling 60 bulls, including sons of Relentless, Wentyard, Asset, and Statesman. Also selling 110 open commercial heifers and 20 open registered heifers. For more information along with videos, go to WassamRedAngus.com and bid with confidence sale day at DV Auction. For powerful, profitable, and practical cattle, I'll see you in the seats at the Wassam Red Angus sale. Thursday, February 15th, 2 p.m. Mountain Time at the Wicks Barn south of Richardson.
The Northern Badlands chapter of the Mule Deer Foundation invites you to their annual banquet on Saturday, February 10th at the Baymont Inn and Suites, Mandan. Doors open at 5 p.m. with dinner served at 6:30. Join us for raffles, games, both silent and live auctions, and more. Don't miss your opportunity to go home with fantastic merchandise from brands like Christensen Arms, Silencer Central, Vortex, Quigley Ford, and more. Learn more about our available packages and purchase your tickets online at muledeer.org/events or contact Jason Bankston at 701-202-1671.
The Sorensen Ranch Production Sales coming up on Monday, March 4th, 1 p.m. Central Time, Sitting Bull Auction, Williston, North Dakota. Your source for Sim Angus bulls that are bred for docility, longevity, fertility, and calves that'll push the scale down. Average birth weight of 80 pounds, average 205 weight at 756 pounds. Selling 42 Sim Angus bulls and 45 commercial open heifers. For more information, go to SorensenRanch.com, find them on Facebook or DV Auction. The Sorensen Ranch Production Sale, Monday, March 4th, 1 p.m. Central Time, Sitting Bull Auction.
I'm Dale Falke with Dakota Community Bank and Trust, your trusted partner in ag lending. With our deep understanding and appreciation for the Western way of life, we proudly accept, respect, and promote the values that define our community. Whether you're a farmer, rancher, or business owner, we are here to support your financial needs and help you thrive. Choose Dakota Community Bank and Trust for all your banking needs.
At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
Equal housing lender.
MoPro Guide Service, the best on Lake Oahe. Brent and his staff will give you the most enjoyable fishing experience, always having the latest in electronics, gear, and the most comfortable Lund boat on the water. Fish with somebody who lives in Mobridge, South Dakota, the heart of Lake Oahe. If you need a place to stay, the Boat Rest Motel has newly updated rooms with free internet, a family-owned and operated business. Go to OaheWalleyes.com. That's OAHE Walleyes.com for the best fishing experience Lake Oahe has to offer. Rockin' 7W has all the panels you need. Freestanding panels, windbreak panels, feeder panels, and the original protester panel. If you don't know what that is, it's a sort panel that makes sorting calves from a cow a breeze. You can do it in a fraction of time with just one person on foot or horseback. You can custom order sizes that fit your current operation, or you can start from scratch. Rockin' 7W also does trailer repair on any size trailers, mobile welding, and custom cattle hauling. Call Justin at Rockin' 7W at 701-206-1030. That's 701-206-1030. Rockin' 7W, the farmer and rancher's go-to guy.
Don't you worry, one day I'll settle down. And when that time comes, I hope you're still around.
Welcome back, everybody. Dakota Prairie Outdoors Saturday edition continues across the Dakota Territory. Good to have you along here. Big thanks to Benny Paulson for the background music. Appreciate that each and every single week that we get to use it here. And he's got some new stuff out. If you want to go to iTunes and check it out, go to Breaking 8. He has some new stuff out there, too. Wayne Muth, outdoor enthusiast. No, outdoor ambassador. Sorry, I'll get it right one of these times, Wayne. The ambassador to the outdoors is my guest here. So in the first part, we're talking the Mule Deer Banquet coming up. If you want to see what's happening in your area, or if your area has a banquet, you can sure do that by going to muledeer.org. Let's talk a little bit about shed hunting. You know, you asked me during the break here, are any of our elk having lost their antlers yet? None of ours have. Most of the time, it seems like late March, first part of April is when most of the elk in our area start dropping. But the whitetail are done, and mule deer have kind of scattered. Some have lost one or two here and have lost them. Some still have them. Granted, the 5 deer that I get to see, we don't have quite as many as we used to. But what have you been seeing out in some of the areas?
Yeah, I was out last week, and all the elk still have their antlers on. I was further north of you a ways, and came across a group of, there's a dozen there, and all of them had their antlers. Mule deer, I came across, I found 2 or 3 different groups, bachelor groups together, and one of them had 7 bucks in it. All of them had their antlers yet. There was one that I saw that had dropped, and it's kind of par for the course. And it seems like, you know, what they say is that if the deer are coming into the winter and they're in good shape, you know, they may hold their antlers a little longer.
Okay.
And so that's kind of good this year. They're not stressed as much, even though we did have that cold spit a little while ago. They came through that real well. So that's good to see, you know, that the deer are still doing well, still have their antlers. And of course, if there's the later rut, let's say now if we have less bucks out in the landscape and they're not hitting all the does are recycling again, coming into rut, that may increase that testosterone enough to keep those antlers on there, because what happens is the testosterone drops, and it kind of puts a signal to the cells to the kind of cells along that base of the antlers to start closing down, and then they fall off and they scab over. So that's kind of the process. And yeah, and right now, people like to get out there and do a lot of shed hunting. And what I tell people is, if you're going to do that, do it in the places that it's not going to be stressful on the deer, and you're not going to bump them and chase them around, because right now they're still trying to maintain their body weight and grow body weight back up, of course. And if you're bumping them and you're stressing them, those does that have fawns, it has been known that if fawns have a low birth weight, first of all, their success rate is a lot less. And if they do live, their antler size is smaller the first year, and that can be carried on into later years. So you may impact your trophy quality down the road if you're stressing these animals out. So stay out of their bedding areas, go to the fields and maybe trails, fence lines and such. But
it's interesting.
Be careful.
It's interesting you say, be careful not bumping out other deer, which is going to be tough because you probably don't know there's deer in there to begin with, right? And when you start looking for sheds. Now, give me your take here. Like I'm looking here, what states and for shed hunting? Kentucky, it's illegal throughout the entire state, and which seems a little bit like, I think, what is it, Wyoming? If you go onto a list here, if you go to greenmatters.com, they have an entire list of what is legal and illegal in certain areas, and a lot of it is probably wildlife areas that's got some restrictions. But there are places that have shed hunting seasons. Do you feel that that's a good idea, or what's your take on actual seasons to shed hunt?
I think it is a good idea, because what the game and fish departments are doing, they're trying to keep people out of these areas during these high stress times for the animals. So, for example, Montana, I think January 1st through May 1st or something in that nature.
Let me pull it up here. I think
Montana, you can't shed hunt in any public areas. You can do it on private, but you can't do it on public. And then the non-residents, they have to wait a week before they go out, a week later before they go out and shed hunt, I think, in Montana. So I think it's good, because you should see, I've seen videos of these openings of these wildlife management areas. People will be waiting in line with horses. They'll camp in line. There'll be a mile's worth of campers, pickups, ATVs, horses, people on foot. And when they open those gates, it's just it's a run for the hills.
Free for all here. You're right, in Montana, it is that. And then Wyoming, it's illegal from January 1st through April 30th on public lands west of the Continental Divide, but legal the rest of the year on the designated lands. And it's interesting. Do you think we'll ever see that in the Dakota Territory on the western, North, and South Dakota side, that we have seasons to do this?
We may. Because of the popularity of everybody getting out west, it's just another avenue for them to get out and run through the Badlands. And I think that would be probably something that may happen. And you guys as the landowners out there really have to keep an eye on that. It probably would do you guys justice that if they would have a season for that, not a free for all.
Yeah. One Shot Cap says, have you guys seen any mule tails or whitetail mule deer mix? And I haven't seen, since I was a kid growing up, one of those that was taken, but I haven't seen one for a long, long time.
No, I have not either. I've seen some pictures that would indicate maybe it would be, but normally what happens is the whitetail buck will breed with a mule deer doe, because whitetails are more aggressive in that nature than the mule deer.
Yeah.
So you get the big ears and the gray body with a white tail. The rack configuration is hard, because a lot of times you can get a 3x3 mule deer that looks like a whitetail. So people get confused a little bit.
So if somebody were to bring one of these to you, how would you score it? What would you score it under?
You would have to actually have it would be up to the hunter to get a DNA test to see what it is.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you would stay out of it until they got that taken care of. I guess you couldn't officially score it. You could score it, but you couldn't say.
Right. You'd
You
have
know?
a score, but where would it
Yeah.
go into the record book? It's kind of
Right.
like that fine line between a blacktail area and the mule deer area.
Right.
Because let's say you shoot a huge blacktail, but it's on a cross area right by where the mule deer are, even though it's on that line, they'd have to have a test to see if it's a top world record or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Mr. Mayor says, as a conservation guy, I'll advocate for the rodents and rabbits who need mineral. That's when the conservationists come out. I don't know what that means.
oh yeah, he meaning leaving the antlers lay.
Ah, I see. You know, and that's the thing. You know, you see a lot of teeth marks on some of these antlers that have been laying there a while.
Oh yeah,
And
you do.
definitely rodents and coyotes too. They'll carry them
Well,
around quite a ways.
Can you get in trouble if you took a pile of antlers and put them out there and waited for porcupines to come over and eat them? Would that be baiting? I don't know.
Probably that guy in Utah that really, really doesn't care for Scott Bachmeyer shooting porcupines. He'd really get after me on that one. There's a whole new level of that. How about using dogs to shed hunt? What's your take on that?
You know, I don't have a problem with it. They're pretty easy to. They're pretty easy to train on that. I mean, dogs are pretty smart. They can pick that up. For me, getting old and such, I guess maybe that would be good for me to do.
I think it's a good idea. I think, especially like if you want to help, especially big farmers. Yeah, they'd be more than happy for you to go through their fields and make sure those tire pokers are out of there. I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, that guy down at the Brown Ranch in South Dakota, they do a kids scavenger hunt type thing through their fields, and they use that as part of the shed hunting and have a big kids day out at their place and take care of quite a bit of that. So that's kind of nice. But hey, I tell you what, we're up against the next side of the break. Coming up on the other side, scoring deer, talking wolves in Colorado and the fight that the ranchers are still in down there. You say you got a little bit of an update that. And Jesse says, no dates, just get them picked up, he said. So he says, well, I'm not going to say what he actually texted me. But we'll get into that on the second half. We'll have more with Wayne Muth coming up second half of the program right here, Dakota Prairie Outdoors Saturday edition.
For over 80 years, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been a leader in ag financing because we understand the business of creating relationships is more than an interest rate. Agriculture is a foundation to the community, and we are here to help your operation expand, grow, and continue to the next generation. Talk to our ag lending team today.
Community looking out for you. At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
Equal housing lender.
Hello, producers. This is Travis for Smith Saddle Butte Ranch. I wanted to invite everyone to our President's Day bull sale on Monday, February 19th. We will be selling 50 bulls, none of which have been fed corn or creep a day of their life, just cows, milk, and grass. We don't need or want to mislead anyone about their true growth. Call me, Travis, at 605-641-5288 or check us out on Facebook. That's the Smith Saddle Butte Ranch Bull Sale, Monday, February 19th at 1 p.m. at Bowman Livestock Marketing in Bowman, North Dakota.
Piper's Auction and Realty would like to invite you to their next sale coming up on Tuesday, February 6th. 459 acres for sale in Eddy County. Also on the 6th, 1,063 acres also in Eddy County. On Wednesday, February 7th, 320 acres in Kidder County and also 566 acres in Stutzman County. Plus, we have the Upper Midwest timed online equipment auction coming up on February 14th. For more information and to bid with confidence, go to pifers.com today. Cattle producers, the Wassum Red Angus Annual Production Sale is Thursday, February 15th, 2 p.m. Mountain Time at the Wicks Barn south of Richardson, North Dakota. Selling 60 bulls, including sons of Relentless, Wentyard, Asset, and Statesman. Also selling 110 open commercial heifers and 20 open registered heifers. For more information along with videos, go to wassumredangus.com and bid with confidence sale day at DV Auction. For powerful, profitable, and practical cattle, I'll see you in the seats at the Wassum Red Angus Sale. Thursday, February 15th, 2 p.m. Mountain Time at the Wicks Barn south of Richardson.
The Northern Badlands chapter of the Mule Deer Foundation invites you to their annual banquet on Saturday, February 10th at the Baymont Inn and Suites, Mandan. Doors open at 5 p.m. with dinner served at 6:30. Join us for raffles, games, both silent, live auctions, and more. Don't miss your opportunity to go home with some fantastic merchandise from brands like Christensen Arms, Silencer Central, Vortex, Quigley Ford, and more. Learn more about our available packages and purchase your tickets online at muledeer.org/events or contact Jason Bankston at 701-202-1671.
The Sorensen Ranch Production Sales coming up on Monday, March 4th, 1 p.m. Central Time, Sitting Bull Auction, Williston, North Dakota. Your source for Sim Angus bulls that are bred for docility, longevity, fertility, and calves that'll push the scale down. Average birth weight of 80 pounds, average 205, weight is 756 pounds. Selling 42 Sim Angus bulls and 45 commercial open heifers. For more information, go to SorensenRanch.com, find them on Facebook or DV Auction. The Sorensen Ranch Production Sale, Monday, March 4th, 1 p.m. Central Time, Sitting Bull Auction.
I'm Dale Paulke with Dakota Community Bank and Trust, your trusted partner in ag lending. With our deep understanding and appreciation for the Western way of life, we proudly accept, respect, and promote the values that define our community. Whether you're a farmer, rancher, or business owner, we are here to support your financial needs and help you thrive. Choose Dakota Community Bank and Trust for all your banking needs.
At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
Equal housing lender.
MoPro Guide Service, the best on Lake Oahe. Brent and his staff will give you the most enjoyable fishing experience, always having the latest in electronics, gear, and the most comfortable Lund boat on the water. Fish with somebody who lives in Mobridge, South Dakota, the heart of Lake Oahe. If you need a place to stay, the Mo Rest Motel has newly updated rooms with free internet, a family-owned and operated business. Go to OaheWalleyes.com. That's OAHE Walleyes.com for the best fishing experience Lake Oahe has to offer. Rockin' 7W has all the panels you need. Freestanding panels, windbreak panels, feeder panels, and the original protester panel. If you don't know what that is, it's a sort panel that makes sorting calves from a cow a breeze. You can do it in a fraction of time with just one person on foot or horseback. You can custom order sizes to fit your current operation, or you can start from scratch. Rockin' 7W also does trailer repair on any size trailers, mobile welding, and custom cattle hauling. Call Justin at Rockin' 7W at 701-206-1030. That's 701-206-1030. Rockin' 7W, the farmer and rancher's go-to guy.
On that road, but don't you worry, one day I'll settle down. And when that time comes, I hope you're still around. I hope you're still around.
Welcome back, everybody. Dakota Prairie Outdoors Saturday edition continues here this morning as we're talking with Mr. Wayne Muth and outdoor ambassador, as I finally get it right here, Wayne. I do have a question that came up here. It says on some of the shed hunting, when they're on the deer, they're considered not your property. Once the antlers fall off, if it's on Forest Service or state land, whose property is that now?
That's a question I've never came across. That's a good question.
Okay.
I suppose since they are on the property of whoever it is, it would be, your property. So if they fell on Scott Bachmeyer's ranch, it'd be Scott's property.
Right, but if it's on
public, it's public property.
It's public. But
public.
what technically, that's the thing about public side is what actually is public. Is can I go to and cut a Christmas tree down?
Yeah,
It's
no.
public. Right, exactly. So that's a great question that I don't have an answer for.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that's interesting.
all right, let's get into scoring some deer here quickly, because when you pick up that antler, you can score that side of the antler. If you find a matching set, you can score them. But what do you do for the spread? How do you judge that?
First of all, for sheds, there's a shed record book, I believe.
Is there really? Oh.
I know that there was at one time. Now, we used to do shed contests at the North Dakota Boners Association banquet, and we got so darn many sheds, and I don't even know if they still do that anymore.
Yeah.
But But if you think about a whitetail average inside spread of a whitetail is 16 inches. The average inside spread, which is the countable spread for a mule deer, is 20 inches. And people will say, oh, that can't be right because look at those in Colorado. Well, if you go to Colorado, that may change. But
Yeah.
And I did my own study here of all the mule deer and whitetail I have scored. And I took the average of all those, and that's what I came up with. And if you think about it, that's what you'll find. And if people, just to jump ahead a little bit, in the newest Bowhunter magazine out, it's their winter special for February. That has an article in. It's called Antlers from Start to Finish that I wrote.
Yep.
So if they want additional information on that, they can go in there and kind of read about antlers, how they start and where they finish and such. So it's a good resource.
Let's say we're hunting in the Dakota Territory, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's talk whitetail. Yep. You see a whitetail, he's broadside, and you get to see some of the height there. He turns and looks at you. You get to see if he's in or outside of his ears. What can a guy do to field score that deer very quickly? For those there's a lot of people that they try to get that, and they're trying to take the biggest deer they can. Are they actually trying to count and do some type of scoring in their head before they pull the trigger?
I think it's a general observation. You can usually see when you see a big deer, you'll know a big deer type of thing. But if you start looking at measurements, the end of the right at the end of the eye to the tip of the nose is an average of about 7 inches. So if you use that as an indicator of how tall the tines are, you have a really good indicator maybe of what it would score, or if it's going to score real nice, you may not know exactly. A little harder on whitetails sometimes because of if they're moving, counting the tines, getting the tine height. If you have some time to observe them, you can get a pretty good idea. And, if you go to some big buck contests, you can really get a good idea of what the antlers look like.
Yeah.
They do look bigger on the deer, though.
How about mule deer? What's the best way to field score a mule deer?
First of all, for mule deer, I have come up with a little system that the average inside spread, main beam length, and fore circumference measurements averages like 94 inches. So if you can get an estimate of the back tine, the fork off that back tine, and the front fork, you can get a very good idea of what it measures. So, for example, you have a 16-inch back tine with an 8-inch tine coming off. That's 24 inches. You have another 8-inch tine off the other side. That's 32 inches, and a 3-inch brow tine. That's 35 inches. So you double that for 70. Add it to 94. You have a 164-inch animal there.
Right.
So it's a little easier sometimes with a mule deer than it is a whitetail. But I would go to some of these big buck contests. I would look at things and get the official score of it. For example, I just scored a buck that it is an EHD, a typical EHD buck. This buck probably did not lose his antlers from last year, and his bases were 10.5 inches around. He did have a main frame and the main tines. But then he had all these little kickers, all this stuff off the brow. And I scored him a gross score of 195 inches.
Wow.
Now at the big buck contest, he scored, extremely over 200 inches. So, so get an official score on these, get a look at them, and then you can see exactly maybe in the field what you're looking at.
Does the width of the ears, like you see a whitetail or mule deer, can you use some of those techniques when you're scoring an elk out in the field too?
Not for elk.
That's a whole different game, isn't it? Yeah,
it is. It is a bigger game. You can get a group of 300-inch bulls together, and you have one that's a little bit bigger, and he's only 320, and he looks like he's huge. So it's tough. It's tough.
Because
just observation.
The mass of the antler has so much to do with that too, especially on them. Yeah, the mayor says, Wayne, it's been years, maybe decades, but my dad had a book I read called Whitetail Deer in North America. And have you ever heard of that book, or are there tons of those types of books out there?
You know, I haven't seen that book, or I may have seen it and read through it. There used to be some of the North American whitetail, or actually, I think the Outdoor Life or one of the sportsman's magazines had a list of like 10 of the top bucks of all time. Those are kind of interesting. But go to the record book. You can purchase the Boone and Crockett record book. You can purchase the Pope and Young record book, and they'll have photographs in there of the large deer. And that's a good thing to hunt. To look at.
Yeah.
I just saw Levi's.
Yeah. What's your favorite species to score, Wayne? What is it?
I still think the mule deer or elk are good. There's not really a favorite. Probably the hardest sometimes would be the whitetails, because a lot of times when you get the bases of those antlers are so close together, you have to determine if it's a common base, if it's two tines there, or is it one tine with one coming off the side.
Right.
You know, Levi, he kept me practiced on scoring this year because of all the animals he shot. So he's got some Pope and Young animals that he's going to enter, I think. At least I'm going to get him to enter them. So,
well, it helps. He's keeping our lights on, is what he's doing. Right?
That's right. Yeah,
those electric vehicles don't
working.
run without what Levi does. So, I mean, that's why he makes the big bucks and he can go on all these adventures. So,
yes.
I just say, Levi, wait until you get married. That's going to come to a little bit of a screeching halt for you.
That's right.
All right. Let's talk about wolves in Colorado. We bring this up a few times over the last few months. They released some wolves in Colorado. The ranchers are not happy about it. How is it situated at this point? Because I know the ranchers are trying to put a lawsuit together, and I haven't seen the update on that.
Yeah, I know that the ranchers, they tried to get a lawsuit to delay the release of these, and that was denied. So the wolves were released in December. There were 10 collared wolves that were released, and there were already 2 collared wolves in this area. So there's been wolves in this area already, in a pack of wolves. Now, my hunting friend from down there, Doug, he said, the ranchers down there have been seeing wolves for quite some time. So, and they've had a lot of depredation from that. I mean, they've been killing calves and things of that nature. So these collared wolves have covered, since they've been released, I think it was December 8th or 18th or something of that nature. They've covered over 4,500 square miles in a month. So they had a map of all the areas that they've covered in Colorado. So these wolves are not staying in one particular area. Of course, they will spread out, and they're going to establish their own home territories. The Colorado Fish and Wildlife Service, they said they will warn ranchers when they get close to ranches. Well, I wonder how that's going to work, if it's going to happen at all. But, there again, there's one rancher down there that he's had wolf problems for a long time, and they've already introduced it. And I just recently seen a video where he's showing his cattle have been injured by the wolves. He's had over 20 in the last 2 years, I think, that have had injuries or been killed by wolves. And the problem is these, environmentalist groups, they come out and they want to introduce these wolves, but they're not giving the landowners and the ranchers any avenues of protecting themselves.
Exactly.
So that's a bad thing about it.
They're on the endangered species list. So if you try shooting one, you're going to get in serious trouble because that's what's going to happen there. But you have to be able to over the years they say, well, that's why the wolf numbers were declining so much, is because more cattle operations were moving into the areas. Now, some of these special interest groups definitely anti-agriculture, and they're anti-hunting. What a better way to go after both of it than to start putting large predators out there. I think it's part of their ultimate plan there, Wayne.
Yeah, it is, and they want to get rid of hunting because they're getting to the point where they're thinking their mindset is, well, we don't want to use hunting as a management tool. We want to have
Right.
it as a natural tool. Well, we've seen that it doesn't work. We've seen the decimation of the northern Yellowstone
Yeah.
elk herd, and you're going to see it elsewhere. So, we in North Dakota, hopefully we won't have this issue for a while, but if it comes, I think we need to stand together and make sure that we can swat it down, because it'll impact a lot of things.
Oh boy, absolutely it will. Well, we wish the best for the ranchers and anybody that have livestock in that Colorado area, and and they're already in Wyoming, they're in Montana, they're in Minnesota, they're in Canada.
Mhm.
There's been reports of certain ones in the Dakota Territory as well.
Yes.
I
yes,
mean, Buffalo,
exactly.
South Dakota's got the big story of Three Toes, right? The wolf that got a part of his paw or something like that trapped off, and I think one of it got chewed off, so they called him Three Toes. And a big story on the western side of South Dakota too. So I mean, they've been around. There's no doubt about it. But I just hope we don't have to go across that. Can you imagine rounding up at Branding Wayne and kicking out a couple wolves out there? What would happen there?
Yeah, no
Jeez.
kidding.
Yeah.
When we bear hunted up in Saskatchewan, we were near the Alberta border, and the property that we were on was some private land that we had access to. But the landowner there, which we got to be good friends with, he did trapping, and they they gave me two pictures, sent me two pictures of wolves that they had snared the winter before. One was 170 pounds and one was 190 pounds. So when you look at them holding these things up, they're absolutely huge.
Yeah.
And it's people don't realize how big these things get. And, they can be devastating to cattle, to sheep, to little kids, to your dogs.
your local pets. Yeah.
My goodness,
Absolutely.
you can't take that chance,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
then we can get on to a discussion of feral hogs too, but we'll save that for another time. It's interesting to see different states and the power and the money behind some of these anti-hunting and anti-agricultural groups. They just have so much money, Wayne. It's just
Yeah,
crazy.
they do, and they have organizational groups such as your Defenders of Wildlife,
Yep.
the Wild Earth Guardians, the Wildlife Fund, but there's also the environmental extremists that have law firms like the Western Environmental Law Center, that they are just there for this type of litigation.
Yeah.
So when they have the money to back it in their own law firms, we don't. We have to use our family lawyers for things like this when we get into trouble. But it's really interesting that that they're so well organized and so well funded.
Yeah.
That it's hard to beat, it's hard to fight against. But that's where we have to start. This year, and I think I mentioned it before, this year is an election year, and I really think that we have to watch who we're electing into the office, because those governors, those representatives, they're going to represent our state. And like I mentioned, I think on our last show, in Washington, the governor, he has appointed commissioners for their game commission that have the mindset that hunting is not a management tool for their
Right.
big game. So they put anti-hunting commissioners on this, and that's the avenue that they're going down. And we have to watch who we're checking that box next to during this next election, and making sure those people are on our side.
Well, you have time for. We have about 4.5 minutes left. I got some questions. Are you ready?
Sure.
We'll go in order here. Hey, with this warm weather, will it affect the shedding of both species of deer?
I would think it may delay it a little bit, because they're not going to be stressed. Maybe they'll hold them longer. Normally, the big bucks will shed their antlers a little sooner, but they may keep them on a little longer.
Okay. Next question comes in, says, "Good morning, gentlemen. Besides man, what is the predator of the wolf?"
There is none. It's
No.
the apex predator that's out there. They'll chase away a grizzly.
Yeah. There's nothing that I know here in North America anyway that would compete against it. So there's that. Another question says, "Have you guys ever tried shed hunting with a drone?" I'm not even sure if that's legal.
I would imagine on private land, you should be able to do it. I like to, in the article that I had in Dakota Country last year about shed hunting, I like to do it on horseback if I have the opportunity. You get a little higher up, a different angle, and you can see down into the grasses easier. So drones would be perfect too.
Yeah.
And you can have a drone, and you can have your dog that, once the drone finds it, you send your dog out there to go pick it up. Right.
Yeah. See how we're getting lazier there, Wayne. Here.
Yeah.
So
we sit in the vehicle and drink our coffee.
Lori says on YouTube, she says, "No farmers, ranchers, no food." All of us know that, but nobody else does. And
Yeah,
I got a
that's
text. Yeah. But I got another
ahead.
text. Riley says Sasquatch is a natural predator of wolves.
No, it's Sasquatch. Yep. Okay. Yeah.
You got to see there's more and more sightings being seen now. And it's hard because this artificial intelligence. How do you know what's real and what's not real on videos anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
It's so crazy anymore.
It's all put together like that. Yeah. Well, and if people, people have just to watch what their sources are, and a lot of that they're watching too. So,
yeah.
But getting back to the shed hunting now, drones and such are fine, dogs are fine, but when I look at it is if I'm out shed hunting, I take into account everything that's around me. If I'm going through an area that I don't get to very often, I'll watch where little draws and cuts are. What would be spots where deer may bed down. If during the hunting season, I may be able to sneak in on them. Watch for grubs and scrapes. Use all this information for your upcoming season because it's really something that I think gets overlooked a lot.
Yeah.
So, use your shed hunting time for scouting time.
That's a great idea. We do that same thing goes for elk too. It seems like they come back to the same areas for wintering and one more. This comes in here. I better get it here. Shed hunting should be more about outdoor exercise and fresh air than finding sheds. And it is. It really is. I enjoy shed hunting. I really, really enjoy the hiking. There's no doubt. And it's nice to get them off of the hayfield before the hay season starts. There's no doubt. Well, Wayne, again, very quickly, we're here 30 seconds. Tell us how to find information. Next Saturday, you can find us both in Mandan. Where do we get tickets and information?
Okay, go to muledeer.org and you can get your tickets there. If you want to call Jason Bankston, you can call him if you're looking for a table, gold tables or silver tables. His number is 701-202-1671. The banquet starts next Saturday. Doors open at 5. Dinner at 6:30.
All right. Well, thanks.
Raffles, silent auction. Okay.
Thanks for tuning in today. Have yourself a great weekend.
You bet. Thank you, everybody.
All right. We are clear off of the radio side of things here, Wayne.
All right.
So thanks again, man. Sorry to cut you off there, but
that's fine. Time. You gotta hit your times. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to buy this radio program from me so I can be a guest instead of having to host it. Since you're retired.
I don't know. It sure as hell doesn't seem like I'm retired. Man. I'm so busy with stuff. It's crazy. And Jamie asked me to be on his show. Well, it's like, I don't have a camera. So he said, well, just get a
You got a phone,
webcam.
Don't you?
Yeah, I do. But I went and I did get a webcam because we're going to do something in like 3 weeks or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we'll try that.
Almost all new laptops have them built in anymore. And
yeah, they do. So were you asked to be on Michael Bell's show in the morning?
I was by Michael Bell. He had me on one time, and hold on. I'm going to stop the YouTube, and I'll talk about that.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.